Supercoaches, round 20 is done and dusted, and personally, I'm on a bit of a run at the moment. A really, really good week here. I brought in my one trade for the week was Pappy to Dylan Edwards, slapped the C on him, and that was enough for it to be a great week, right? You know, you see yourself if you didn't buy Dylan, it made it really tough to score anything above sort of 1200 this week, given there were a few injuries. There weren't a lot of really, really big scores, and it was Edwards that took the cake on that one. And it was kind of, Zach Lomax was really second on the list there, and he was my other option. It was either just to go, which would have made it easier to get Cleary this week myself, was to just go for Dylan Lucas straight to Zach Lomax, which, would have ended up okay. But captaincy-wise, who would I have ended up on? I had the Vice on Herbie, 77. Probably wouldn't have been enough. Maybe it would have been Terrell May. Yeah, it would have been tough. Otherwise, hey, I don't think there was anyone that was like a clear option. Teddy, like some people, Captain Tedesco, could have ended up there. So that's where the good news came from last week there. Drinkwater really solid 87 there. Carraz free 74. Hines and Hughes were great, 77 and 76. Bit sort of mid for Campbell and Munster. Crichton a solid 69 there. Terrell May 105 was incredible. And then Tino for myself, he ended up coming out of the side at 15, which meant that Teddy stayed in as 37. So a great example of when you have that best 17 of 18, that you can have a guy that gets injured and you still end up with a really solid score. Now this Tino one was a really tough one, unfortunately. With myself, had him from the start, rode him all the way up into the high 700s, and he was going incredibly well. Then some low ones with around Origin, missing games, and his sternum issue. We've kind of lost 250k out of him, unfortunately now. And myself, I had 3 clear guys out this week that are of value there in Tino, in Colo, who was one of my other scorers there, and then Dylan Lucas still sitting in the side. And right now I've already made 2 trades there. And the problem right now this week, really from my side, is having a fair few of those guys out. So Tino, Simpkins, Kane Bradley, Thomas Cant, although he did get on the bench on the weekend. Munster, a good chance that he doesn't play this week, and if he does, great. If he doesn't, it sounds like there's a good chance he doesn't. Then, that hurts as well. Farnworth, I am actually hoping that the Ramian, he's a laid out on the weekend. Hopefully he plays this week because it's up against the South, and I think that he could be a good play, and it would be over Starling. And then Lawson there, so a fair few guys out this week, and hopefully he can still do okay. But the 2 trades I've looked at right now, Lucas and Kolomatangi out, my 2 most expensive guys. With Tino, we're still unsure on exactly what the injury is, but Zach Lomax, pretty well a straight swap for Lucas, given the cash I had in the bank. I think I had Lomax is 735.4, and I think I had 735.5. So left $100. I wish $100k. $100 in the bank, which then leaves Kolomatangi to someone. And really, unfortunately, at my price point there that I could go to, at 625, there's not a lot. Guys like Britt Nickera would be a really, really good pick, but we'd have to wait until next week, and maybe he becomes an option for Tino or something like that in the following week with the little run that the Sharkies are going to go on. But it was Kaipius Paul, really, and Isaiah Yeo, and I feel like we're not going to get Isaiah any cheaper. Yes, he might continue on with his sort of high 40s, 50s, 60s, but he does have the opportunity to go up into the 70s again, and after the rest, just really get into the final part of the year. And Isaiah Yeo is actually the guy that you wanted in the back end of last year, so we'll see if he can bring that back and help push the Panthers into the top 4 there. So currently that's where my trades are potentially at, and I'll help you guys out continuing to look at it. And we'll slot straight into second row forward now, because Hudson Young is the clear guy that we want. Unfortunately, at 716, I'd have to give up on Lomax to be able to do it, and we'll get to it. But the centre wing guys of a cheaper standpoint, it's not really great. Whereas, going for someone like Lomax is very, very much an upside play. So Young's definitely the player at 716. Lost a little bit of cash here, but averaging 80 for the year, the clear best option right now with Dylan Lucas injured, and then Eli Katoa at 700k. If it came to a pick right now out of these 2, Storm don't miss any more games, and Raiders do, and he may also get rested in the last round or something if they've locked up a spot. We'll have to see how Sticky plays that one. We know he can play silly buggers sometimes. But Aaron Clark's in a really good spot there, averaging 70 on the weekend. Bit of a slower one from him, but he could definitely go to 70s and 80s again. So he's an option, but didn't work for my side. Preston and Kickout. I'm just a little bit worried about the Dogs and how they're playing. So they're not really a team at the moment I want to be loading up on, unless you would have a cheaper stab at Galvin there, just with how they're playing. Bo Fermor, I think he's 2K out of my reach. Yeah, you can see they're 625, which is annoying. He still managed 65 on the weekend, which was good. He's very low in fantasy, but much better in SC, and he would be a guy I think I would target. I've already got Crichton, which is, a solid score with the try there. Won't go for Hosking, or can't get there anyway, but then you get to Kaipis Ball and Isaiah Yeo here at that 536 for him and 545 for Kaipis Ball. Trent Liero coming in hot. A couple of good games in a row there. 89.7 the 3-round average. McInnes can cover in hooker as well. Teague Wilton, Duncan up some cash. He's got a high break even now. I think I have to hold him this week. He was one I was looking at potentially moving on from, but yeah, we'll leave that there. And then hooker was the other one. So I could bring Watson down and very clear in a way. It's Blake Brayley right now. You could go for Harry. I think, he could have scored that try on the weekend. He's 544k, so that could be a fun one instead of like an Isaiah Yeo. Definitely, could be a thing to jump on there. But Blake Brayley, he's got a 94.4 5-round average, which is just incredible. I think he's got 3 tons and 97 and a 50 or something. So he's been amazing, but he's up at 700k, so not a position I can get to. But yeah, Watson going down, bringing Grant in could work out well for myself and for you guys as well, listening and watching to this one. Anyone else in that section? Not really one you'd want. McInnes had to play the 80 minutes for his 68, which wasn't super ideal. But yeah, looking into the front row forward, I don't really like the stack that we've got there. You've got Tarpanay as a potential option there. You can see I don't have enough cash to bring these guys in. Actually, Tarpanay I do at 574. But you want Payne Haas back at 727. It's the clear, far and away the best bet. I already have him, so not in my thoughts there, but definitely the one you want to chase if you're looking at front row forward. But as we go down the averages here, we're early and quickly into the 50s, where it's less exciting in that spot, definitely. So front row forward, Payne Haas, Terrell May, and then bust. Now, halfback, it's very clearly Hines, Hughes, and Cleary. You got Humphreys there, but it's more a base stat type of game for him at the moment, with the team being pretty poor. So bit of a no from me with him there. You've got guys like Tanner Boyd, who are still cheap enough and could be a fun little pick there over the this next little period. ICAT is also on the buy. Fogarty, a really solid one, but not one you want to chase. Didn't been solid, but still a 57.4 average for someone that has been doing really well footy-wise, but it's more around that base stat, which is better in fantasy at the moment. But Cleary, 76 the average, Hines and Hughes. It's just as simple as that at the moment. In terms of point of difference, guys, as I said, Boyd, 329k, but I don't think he's going to move the needle for you, and you've probably got enough guys who are of a high enough price to move to a gun rather than going cheaper from here on with Tanner, and a lot of people are running out of trades. I'm 9 down to 7 after the 2 this week to get me a solid enough 18 on the park there. So yeah, that's where I'm at. DC at 535, not too bad, but they've got a pretty tough run as well. For the 5'8" slot, you can move Dewey around, but if you're sitting Campbell Munster like myself, I think you just hold Munster, and if he is out, you give him the week off and go from there. Some people are holding Talangi, that's sweet. Ethan Strange, 81, 5 game average is pretty crazy. If you got KO weeks, you hold on strong, a 92 gain in this one. And you see Galvin there at 444 doing his job. So yeah, he'll be more of that attacking play that would be more of an exciting pick for your side in the center wing. So down here, when you're looking at it, Lomax is a very clear target in terms of the players in my side. Carraz is getting pretty cheap, a 661, so he's of of note as well. Garrick a clear hold, but not an amazing buy right now. I'd definitely go Lomax over him. And then you see Holmes is injured. You can take a bit of a flyer on Taylor May against his old side too. That'll be interesting. You see a fair few injuries here, unfortunately, in the top rankings there. Bradman Best, Nwangi Tawaze. For Nawa, I think that's a tough game this week with Melbourne as well. So yeah, if you own, you're probably holding just because he's a guy that has upside, but it's a frustrating one. And then Bradman Best coming off the good game before this one into a low one there. Bo Fermor, one you can target, as we said, in the second row section. And then down from here, Tank Gagai's had a really good couple of games, so he's fun at 629 if you're interested. Imagine you don't need a cash down, so we're going to come in there with a good score. Lehigh hasn't been his best. Are we going to get Turbo with a dual position? That could be fun. You've got Casey McLean in there, so yeah, not a lot of exciting picks in the centre wing. Even guys like Timoko, really, really good out there looking wise, but yeah, still just a 53. Seb Crisp was the big one this week. Adam Dewey at lock. I don't mind him. I think that there may be some attack, but it did seem like a bit of a tough sort of base stat game for these guys in that one on the weekend. And yeah, not too much else to say in the centre wing position. And then for fullback, yeah, you see Turbo doing a really good job. Can you buy Edwards this week? Yes, I think a 763. It's a tough pill to swallow, up 115k, but he comes up against the Tigers and like the Titans or something in the next two. So an incredible little run of games there. And yeah, Pap, it was an easier sell. Like Pap probably plays this week, and it was an easier sell last week. The good thing with Pap is that he's going to be out. Sorry, you're going to find out given they're the first game of the week. In my situation at this stage, I would still go Cleary over Edwards, assuming he's back this week, which you should do if you can use him in your flex. That could be cool. For now and for this week, all of those players there, I'm not going to drop Tedesco, not dropping Edwards or Drinky. And then Hines and Hughes doing a great job on the side. So I can't drop any of those players for Cleary. It just doesn't make sense at this point. So I'm going to have to sit on my hands and wait and see what happens this week. And if there's an injury, he'll go straight in. If someone starts to play poorly, then we could make that trade. But it doesn't feel worth it. He's kind of going to... Cleary, unfortunately, is going to be the only guy that I have to kind of just, watch from behind the couch for Supercoach terms and hope he just goes for 70s and 80s, really. Like, if he can do that and not have his massive 120s, 150s, then I'll personally be okay and should be able to do all right and hopefully keeps making some ranks as people start to get lower on trade. So, yeah, Turbo up to 630 now, so makes it a little bit harder for him. Reece Walsh there coming up against Para to go into this week, which is, going to be a fun one for him. Drinky has St. George, so that'll be cool. Yeah, that's kind of it, hey? It's all just about, at this point, for the most part, you should just be trading injured guys. Like if you're sitting at 7 or less, especially, like I just don't think there's any room to trade out guys that are performing okay and actually out there playing rather than those injury guys. So we'll leave this one there, guys, for Supercoach. Thanks so much for jumping in and watching or listening to this one. I hope it found you well, and let me know how you went down the comments, and I'll come say hello. Cheers, guys.